The Supreme Court is hearing arguments over a law that prevents some people accused of domestic violence from purchasing a gun. Advocates on both sides rallied outside the High Court this morning. Let's bring in CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford. Jan, great to see you. So, there's so much support for people who are convicted of domestic violence to not be able to purchase a gun. Here, there's some differences. How are the two sides arguing the case?
Well, at issue here is a 30-year-old federal law that would prohibit people who are under restraining orders for domestic violence, like you said, from owning a gun. And this case came about from Texas. A man who was under a restraining order for threatening to shoot his ex-girlfriend was later found with guns in his apartment. So he is challenging that federal law, saying like he has a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms, and he was never convicted, not yet anyway, or wasn't even indicted. So that's kind of the argument that was here at the court today. He won in the lower courts. So today we heard the Biden administration arguing that the justices should uphold this federal law, that there are important principles at stake that go back to the founding of this country, that the government can ban people who are dangerous from having weapons. Lawyers who are representing the man who was under that restraining order said no, the court has made clear that there has to be a precise law. If you're going to restrict the Second Amendment, it's got to be something that the founders would have considered, and it's got to be something more precise. The lawyer for the Biden administration got back and said, that's just ridiculous. Domestic violence wasn't even an issue really in the founding of our country.
Right.
People didn't realize that was even a problem. And I think the justices are clearly poised to uphold this federal law and agree with the Biden administration, and it's not even going to be close.
Interesting. And so the conservative majority in the court, even they have been mixed when it comes to gun cases. Where is this case leaning so far? How are they leaning?
Right. So you have a conservative majority that said the Second Amendment protects this landmark decision, that it protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms. Well, what does that mean, right? Certainly some handgun restrictions are permissible. Certainly some gun laws are okay, just like you have a right to free speech, but you can't just go out and disrupt things, willy-nilly.
Right.
So this is kind of part of that. How did they decide how to analyze what kind of gun laws are going to be okay under the Second Amendment? They're trying to really clarify and give guidance to lower courts when they're getting these challenges to gun restrictions. You're right, conservative justices have been more sympathetic to gun rights than the liberal justices have, but I thought today, in an hour and a half of arguments, was one of those rare cases where you saw all the justices, or almost all, kind of saying, wait a minute. If the government can't keep guns out of the hands of people under restraining orders for domestic violence, what are we talking about?
Right. Jan, thank you so much.